New World. Bro, what the fuck? Jumping into this game, I was somewhat on the fence. I mean, this game has been quote-unquote مطلعي من طيز الشلب, which is an Arabic saying and roughly translates to it's been taking out the center of a dog's booty cheeks. I mean, the game has been dissed on more than Anthony's career at Man United, bro. I think you already catch my drift. It has not been a good start to life for this MMORPG, but as with most big games nowadays, they fuck up initially and then go on this redeeming arc of fixing the game and implementing fan requested features. Now, New World is no different, as it was released in 2021 and now a bit over 2 years later it stands in a state where it has had a decent concurrent player base for a while, and they have added some new additions in the form of quality of life fixes, new areas, new content, and the most requested but still quite bare bones feature in the game, which are mounts. I felt that this was the perfect time to jump into this game and see whatever the fuck is up, and if it's by all means a fun game to play through. So New World, a game that tries its best to be the next big action combat MMORPG with a more hands-on combat style as well as a nice art style to go with it that borrows quite heavily from the 1500s era of humankind with some fantasy sprinkled here and there. You start the game off by creating your character, and straight away you come to terms with the fact that no matter how hard you try, you'll never be able to make a good looking character in the game. So like me, you just end up with Midi Gonzalez, the weird overweight Mexican guy who just happens to be in this world fighting. Now you go through the overly cinematic intro in which you do learn the basics of combat in terms of all you can do, and then you set off into the leveling experience in the game. Now, as with most other MMOs, the leveling experience might be on the tedious side of things, admittedly, for some people, because it usually boils down to quests of collecting items or killing a certain number of enemies, and while New World doesn't really reinvent the wheel, I did find myself enjoying the moment-to-moment gameplay quite a bit. Now, the combat in this game is very much action-oriented, with you having only 3 skills to use per weapon equipped, so it does have a lot of time for dodges and blocks. Another action combat MMO that one might think of is ESO, or Elder Scrolls Online, and while that game isn't really all that difficult, to be honest, New World is a breath of fresh air in terms of keeping you on your toes when things do get challenging eventually. Now, there are no real classes in the game to choose from in the start, so the game gives you the options based on basically which weapon you choose to level up or have equipped at any given time. And what makes this idea fun is the fact that you can change weapons on the fly. So if you happen to get bored of swinging the two-handed greatsword, for example, you can just switch to a ranged fire staff or a blunderbuss to get all the shotgunning action one might be looking for. Now again, this is nothing new, but that doesn't mean it isn't fun though, as I found myself constantly switching things up, not only to level up all the other weapons in the game, but to also just get a feel for them based on whatever mood I was in. Now, you are also not bound to the skill choices you make in the game, as respecking is super easy and is free for the earlier levels. Now, whatever your mood in terms of weapons may be, there's one thing that I have to make absolutely clear. This kind of segues into your Gamer's Trove top tip for New World. Having a mount to use in the game changes it a lot, because half of the tedium in the game is you just running from one spot to the next before having to literally just run back and talk to the person again to complete a quest. So yes, it does suck absolute balls that you have to buy the Angry Earth expansion to be able to access mounts at all, but without it, the game becomes 10 times more tedious, if I'm being honest. We interrupt this program with some breaking news. It seems the awesome person watching this video has yet to subscribe to the channel or like the video. And in an unprecedented turn of events, he is now full on thinking about it. It is indeed free to do and would help me out a absolute ton. I mean, it would help the person of the broadcast a lot. News. It's the news. Damn it. We will update you on more information once we get it. So for now, let us return to the scheduled program. Now, as for the story in the game, dude, just forget about it. I really tried to follow along and came out even more confused. The cutscenes are very nice when the game throws some your way, and they are nicely animated, and a big bunch of the content is voiced in the game, so that's always nice. But it's also freaking convoluted, and I just stopped following along after the first few hours. Now, some people might call it a good story, and I'm not here to diss them, but quite the opposite, my broski. Dude, if you followed the story and managed to walk out of it with at least something, you have a skill that I could only dream of. Story quests are where the XP is at, and most areas where the story takes you has some side quests that you should definitely be doing for the extra experience points as well as some gear. There are 3 big factions to join too. They all have their own quests, loot, and content that is more PvP focused, if I'm being honest, and I haven't really gone into it so far at least. It does honestly feel like most of the bigger content is locked behind being max level in the game, or at least as close to max level as possible, and while that may be a bummer for some people, endgame content has been the whole thing that keeps people playing MMOs on top of the, the MMO mumbo jumbo. Now, what really did it for me, and I think a lot of solo MMO gamers can agree on this, is just hopping in, playing the game, and popping some tunes in the background and just getting stuck in. Bro, I found New World to be the perfect mix of brainless swinging and locking in during boss fights or when getting surrounded by enemies. Now, what wasn't brainless was my playthrough of Remnant 2, which, my broski, I did make a video on that recently, so do queue that up to watch after this one. The link to that will be in this top corner. I almost said here because it's flipped. Click it. Now anyways, dying in New World is not the worst thing either, with the game giving you the ability to build a camp right outside whatever landmark you're going to, so dying doesn't mean that you have to run all the way again to reach some area or boss or group of enemies. Now admittedly, what does suck a lot, sometimes especially, is that most of the enemies do respawn quite fast. I have so far really enjoyed just questing in general. At some level intervals like 25 or 50 at least, you unlock certain dungeons to clear with random groups of players if you want to, and usually these dungeons tend to last longer than one might think. Now that's a sentence I've never heard being said to me personally, so that's depressing as fuck. Anyway, less about me, more about New World. Now one might ask what the loot cycle is like, and yes, I'm happy you asked that question, cause boy is it nice. The game constantly peppers you with new gear and weapons that are a little bit better than the current equipment you have, so the early hours is definitely not for the fashion police, bro. I got my first legendary item at level 42, I think, and I don't know if the loot is based on what weapons you have equipped or if it's just random in general, but I happened to get an amazing greatsword as I was using one at that time, so that's always nice. At level 45, I think, you start getting quests that have full armor sets as rewards instead of just hoping for drops from enemies. But it's not just down to RNG, as you can also craft armor and all kinds of gear in the game. Now, I'm not gonna go deeper than that with regards to the out of combat stuff you can do in this game, as there are most likely extensive tutorials on this platform on that matter. But what I will say as a solo player is that it's a nice change of pace here and there. Never did I feel forced to go fish or chop down trees for items. Now, what I did personally was just chop trees or collect other stuff on the way to the next objective, so I always had this small amount of stuff on hand to build camps and shit. But there are most definitely people out there that want to max out all of the fishing and harvesting levels, so for people who like that kind of stuff, then boy is there a lot to do of that in this game. As you can probably guess, there are more mechanics and things in this game that can't possibly be explained in a single video that lasts about 10 minutes, so it's safe to say there's a lot of content here to be played on top of the live events and things constantly being added to the game. Now 2024 is a big year for New World, so I'm genuinely excited to see the game get some wind under its wings and take flight, because the base that they've built here had me enjoying it more than a lot of other MMOs out there, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm fully aware that there are big YouTubers out there and extensive Reddit posts on why the game sucks when compared to some other MMOs, and to that I argue with 2 final points. First of all, bro, thanks for your opinion. Now let me go and play the game for myself and find out if I like it. Broski, I'm not gonna let some random guy on the internet tell me what to think about a game. Yes, it's very ironic because I'm on here as a random YouTuber saying I like the game, so far at least. Secondly, I forgot what my second point was, so yes, get triggered. With all that being said, broski, I want to say I like the game and I'm still playing it here and there. Will I be playing it for another 500 hours? Probably not. Look, I'm not the type of person to hyper focus on a single game for hundreds hundreds of hours, so that's near impossible with me. Would I recommend the game? Absolutely. It's a good looking game that plays differently than a lot of MMOs out there, and that might be hit or miss with some people, but with me, as a chill gamer in his early and may I say very sturdy 30s, it's a super nice experience and I'm looking forward to playing it some more. Now, should you be playing this game? Bro, how the fuck should I know? I was only here to tell you my experience, and if I liked it, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that pretty much wraps it up for this video yet again. I hope you did like it. If you did, be sure to click that like button down below, as well as subscribe to the channel. I did put out a video on Monster Hunter and the solo experience of that one recently, as well as Remnant, the WTF Remnant video that I mentioned earlier. Bro, go check that out, queue it up to watch after this one. And I'm not just saying that for the viewer retention rates on YouTube and the algorithm, but in general, because they're good videos and it would help me out a absolute ton in growing the channel. Comment down below if you liked New World, or if you're playing this game or planning on playing this game in the near future. Look, it's a great game. I liked it personally, you might not, but hey, that's what these videos are all about. Anyway, I've been your boy. I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you have a great day wherever you're from, whichever time of day you watch this at. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Hasta prontissimo.